Okay, this is question 4 on the 2018 WJC additional maths paper. What we're looking at here is a simplified question using indices. So with this one, we are multiplying things that have got the same base, and both of these terms have got the same base of x, and when we're multiplying terms with the same base, we can add them. What I would suggest that you do here is that you just split all the multiplication up, so you have the number parts first. So you can write that as 5 times 6, which you've got there, 5 times 6, and then the powers of x. So multiply by x to the 3/5, multiply by x to the 4/5. Okay. What this does, it stops you potentially adding those, because you're already thinking about adding. When you have it written as 5 times 6, you're more likely to write it as 30, which is the correct answer. And then x, and we're going to add these together, so 3/5 plus 4/5 is 7/5. Okay, the next question. We have got this in the brackets, all to the power of a half. So we have a product in the brackets to deal with first, and then we can deal with the power of a half. So doing this the same way as I said last time, I'll bring the numbers out in front, 6 times 6, and then we've got x to the 4/5 times x to the 4/5, and all of that is to the power of a half. So this becomes 6 sixes is 36, and then we have x to the 8/5, and all of that is to the power of a half. So what we can do now is say, well, everything there needs to be raised to the power of a half. So this is 36 to the half multiplied by 8 x to the 8/5 to the power of a half. And the reason I've done that is because we'll deal with the number part, which is this 36, in a different manner to the index part, which is this one, because the power of a half, when we're dealing with numbers, or when we're dealing with algebra, but particularly with numbers, means square root. So we've got the square root of 36 is the first bit, which is 6. Then, the rule when we have something that's got a power raised to another power is that we multiply these powers together. So we've got a half of 8/5, which is going to be 4/5. So we get 6x to the 4/5. Okay, now on this bottom one, it's slightly different in the way that we have to do this, because we don't have multiplications across the different terms with x, we've got additions. When that happens, we can only bring terms together and collect them together if they are the same type of term. Because these x's have different powers, they're not the same type of term. So in the same way, we couldn't add an x squared plus an x cubed together. We can't add an x to the 2/7 plus x to the 3/7 together and simplify them into one term. So what we do instead is that we split this fraction. Okay, we split the numerator up, because if we were adding 3 fractions together, so let's say 6 to the 2/7 over 6 to the 1/7, if I added that to this fraction, 3x to the 4/7 over 6x to the 7th, and then added that to this fraction, 6x to the 7th over 6x to the 7th, well, what would happen is usually we would just rewrite it in the format that it's in, but that's not going to help us this time. So 6x to the 2/7 over 6x to the 7th plus 3x to the 4/7 over 6x to the 7th plus 6x to the 7th over 6x to the 7th. So what we would normally do if we had 3 fractions, all with the same denominator, we would then just add the numerators together and leave the bottom as it is. But that would take us to there. What we're going to have to do now is actually think about simplifying each of these 3 fractions. So the first one has a 6 over 6, which is going to cancel. And then we're left with x to the 2/7 divided by x to the 1/7. So we have the same base of x, so we can subtract the powers. 2/7 take away 1/7 is 1/7. So this becomes x to the 1/7. Okay, in a similar way on this one, we have the number part first, 3/6, which will cancel down to a half. Then we got x to the power of, well, we got 4/7. So x to the 4/7 divided by x to the 1/7. So we're going to have this as, we're going to subtract the powers. So we need to do 4/7, take away 1/7, which is easy enough, is 3/7. So we got half x to the 3/7. And then our last one, we actually have 6x to the 1/7 divided by 6x to the 1/7, which is something divided by itself, and that will always give you the answer 1. And that's in simplest form.